welcome back. Today I wanted to share a few of my favorite Stephen King books. He is my favorite author of all time, and I've read quite a few of his books. I still have many more to read, but I wanted to go ahead and share those books with you. I'm in my living room today, all my videos have been in my living room at some point, but I'm in front of the bookshelf today. I hope this is a good angle. I don't know what I'm doing, so I think I'm going to show just my favorites that I've read, not do like a whole ranking of all the books I've read. Maybe that's a video I'll make in the future. Do my top 5. That's what I'll do. Number 5 is Misery. This is one of the very first Stephen King books I read. I'm not 100% sure if I read Misery or Carrie first, but I loved this book. I read it twice. I read it a very long time ago, and then I reread it 2 years ago, I think. If you don't know about this book, it is about this author, Paul Sheldon, who goes to write at a secluded resort in the snowy mountains. I forget, I don't know if it's Colorado or not, but he goes out in the woods at this resort and stays to write. That's where he finishes all his books. And he ends up in a car accident, and he is taken in by this woman named Annie Wilkes, who is one of my favorite literary characters. She's very interesting. I definitely think if you are a fan of Stephen King or a fan of horror, or even not, honestly, I think this is one of his books that people that don't usually enjoy horror or enjoy his books necessarily, or people that don't think they're Stephen King fans, would probably enjoy this book, because it's just about this guy who's kidnapped and how he is trying to escape when both of his legs are broken and he can't get out of bed. It's very much like a thriller, and I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. And if you haven't seen the movie with Kathy Bates and James Caan, you have to see it. It's amazing. It's one of the best Stephen King adaptations in my opinion, and I really like a lot of them, so that is saying something for me. It is so good. It really captures the mood of the book, and it's just so enjoyable. So there's Misery. The next Stephen King book that I love is Salem's Lot. This is also one of my favorite editions of a Stephen King book I've ever found. It's really cool, really of the time. The copyright is 1975. It's a beautiful copy. I love it. So Salem's Lot is about this writer, is his name Ben? Ben Mears, who goes to Salem's Lot, and he meets this entire cast of characters of the town. The book's about a specific, or the book does focus on a few primary characters, but it really is about the town as a whole and how it is being slowly taken over by these vampires. And I remember thinking the way Stephen King writes about towns and people is just, it really draws you in. I loved the writing. I loved this book. I would say is a little bit less about the characters for me than some of his other books, but there is a kid in this book that I think is my favorite character, and you really care about him. And there's Ben and Susan have this relationship, and you care about them and you're on their side, they're the good guys, but I don't know. I think the plot of this one is really good, really solid. It has an opener, like an opening scene, and the ending tie in really well together. Really, my favorite part of it is the way he talks about the town and the people and the bad things they do and the way that it's slowly being taken over by vampires. I just think it's interesting and ominous, and I think it's creepy and fun. Salem's Lot. Number 3 is Firestarter. I love this book. I devoured it when I read it. I really want to reread it pretty soon. I have 2 editions. I'll go ahead. I'll show you. They're so cool. I love them. It's about these 2 college students who fall in love, and they end up doing this, like, signing up for this experiment at their college to make some money, and they end up getting these powers from the experiment, and they end up falling in love and having a daughter together, and her name is Charlie, and she is the Firestarter. The government is following them for the rest of their lives after they realize these 2 have gotten together, and they're very interested in the daughter and worried about what she will be capable of. So the family is on the run, and it's just a really good book. And stop it. Luna. Luna's interrupting. What? What? That is really. So now she's in the bedroom being crazy now. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book to anybody. But if you like Stranger Things, the premise is very similar, heavily inspired by this book, I'm sure. So definitely check it out if that's the kind of stuff you like. It is so good. Second favorite Stephen King book is Carrie. I read this book very early on when I was very young, so I'm like, have a nostalgic attachment to this book and the characters, and I just think it's amazing. I think the 1975 something, the Brian De Palma, I think the Brian De Palma adaptation of this book is amazing. And with this being Stephen King's first book, I think it's not a lot of people's favorite. I do think he gets better at, or I don't know if I'd say better, but he definitely goes into more characterization and more world building, I think, in his other books. But I think this one is exactly what it should be. I think the story is so sad, but this book is so depressing and sad, even if you know how it's going to end. Every time I read it, I'm just like hoping. I'm just dreading the ending, even though I know what's gonna happen. But I think that's part of why I love it so much, is you just want to keep coming back into this world, even though you know it is devastating. But I think it's very well written, and the characters are very interesting. Feel so much for these characters. Carrie, Sue, Tommy. It's just very interesting, their differences, and the different stories, or their different paths in the story, and the way that everything lines up for everything to end exactly terribly. I would say this one is it's scary, but not, it might be a little gory. But I do recommend, if you are planning on reading Stephen King or you want to start somewhere, I think Carrie is a great place to start. He definitely changes and grows as a writer, but I think you see this just is full of so many of his good qualities that I definitely recommend it. My number one Stephen King book is It. I have so many editions of It. It has the best covers. Even this like film tie-in edition I think is so good. I love it. I think obviously it's huge, it's so long. You just go on such a journey with these characters and you grow to love them and care about them and you want what's best for them. This book took me over a month to read and I never felt bored. I never felt like I was trying to rush through it or get to the end. I was genuinely invested the entire time, which is so hard to do when you are in a story for this long, I feel like. King is just so good at building entire towns and worlds and making you feel immersed in these characters' worlds, and I think this is probably one of the best examples of him doing that is this book. And I think it genuinely has some scary parts, and there's so much that if you do see any of the films, there's so much that is not able to be included because it's a film adaptation. But there is so much in this town that is ominous and foreboding and just creepy. It's located in the town of Derry, if you're unfamiliar, and that is a hot spot in the King universe. It's a classic and it's been adapted so many times and referenced so many times for a reason, because it is a truly amazing book. I do think it's hard to recommend this book without talking about that scene at the end. If you haven't heard about it, there's a pretty explicit scene between the characters at the end while they're still very young, and in my opinion it is completely unneeded. I think this book could really benefit from that part being removed completely. I don't think it's needed. I understand why the book thinks it's justified or why it was put in as part of the plot, like why it's saying it's needed, but it's not. There's enough established before that they would come back and help each other, or they have a connection and they would come back, and that is not needed. It doesn't make me distrust Stephen King or feel like weird about him. I know it does for some people and I understand, but I think for what it is, the way it was done, I think was not in a creepy way. I don't think it has to be in the book at all, but it did not make me not appreciate the very, very good things about this book. So yeah, it is my number one King.